Hello, my creeplings. We're back for another one. This one is my first Clive Barker review, so this one's gonna be fun. We watched Nightbreed from 1990 today. Again, a Clive Barker film written, directed by this man. He is a master of getting you on edge, giving you great atmosphere. I mean, the man's mind is a treasure. This is one of those, though, that wasn't as big, was not really a big hit, which was weird. Probably because of the studio interference and butchering. So, yes, this was released in 1990. This is an amazing film if you like Clive Barker movies. I know when I say Clive Barker, most people think of Hellraiser and Pinhead, which this is right up that alley of atmosphere, and you gotta watch it a couple times to get everything, and this man is a master storyteller. He is responsible for the original story that Candyman was based on. Let's see, some of the other stuff he's done. Lord of Illusions, which eventually I will probably rewatch and go over. He's the creator of Pinhead. The man's just amazing. This one also has David Cronenberg in it. Now, David Cronenberg is not usually known as an actor, which that's why this was weird to me. He's the body horror man. Videodrome, The Fly remake with Jeff Goldblum. He's a Canadian director that he will also leave you unsettled, and eventually I think we'll go over some of his films too. I don't recommend, or not recommend, but recognize some of the other names in here. I'm sure I would. Looking at the list. Oh, Doug Bradley, the guy behind Pinhead, plays one of the Nightbreed. So this, if I told the entire damn story, we'd be here for at least an hour, because the cut I just watched was almost 2 hours long. I believe I got my hand on the director's cut. There's the original cut, the Cabal cut, and the director's cut with this. I believe I have my hands on the director's cut, and I believe I got it on the Internet Archive. So, yes, Internet Archive is saving my butt here. So is my local library when it comes to collecting some of these older films. Because let's face it, streaming services suck now. It's all original stuff, and with video stores being put out, it's hard to get a hold of some of these things. So, the overview of this story, we have a man named Aaron Boone who has been in and out of therapy because he has had these dreams of a place called Midian where all your sins will be washed away. He's talked about murdering people, all this crazy stuff. He's at a point now where he's better, but the dreams are still there. They're just not as unsettling to him, I guess, anymore. His doctor is played by David Cronenberg, and again, I've got the notes, so you'll see me referring, because there's a lot going on with this. Dr. Philip K. Decker. Now, Decker's got a secret. Decker is a serial killer. He walks around with, and I don't know how he's walking around with this mask, because there's button eyes on it, but it looks like it's zipper mouth. You've seen pictures of it if you're on any kind of horror social media. It's freaky. It's great. I think he's using Aaron Boone's dreams as cover, because he's trying to pin it on Boone. And Boone, in the meantime, is still convinced that this Midian place exists. And he's dating this one woman named Lori. Now, one thing I will say about a Clive Barker movie with the casting, he knows how to pick good-looking people. And he can get you set up with a sensual moment. I don't know why, but in all of his movies, there's a thread of sensuality that's just amazing. very adult. I don't really recommend a lot of Clive Barker movies for younger kids that are just starting out in the horror genre. It's too much for them to handle. But oh my god, there's some great sensual stuff in this one. Sorry, I've got like my curls are really like behaving today, and I want to play with them, so I'm sorry. Let's see. So Boone ends up getting hit by a truck trying to find this Midian place, ends up in a hospital, meets a guy named, I believe the guy's name is Narcisse, who knows about Midian, who's trying to become a member of Midian. The long and the short of it is, Boone dies. Boone finds Midian first and finds the Nightbreed. Now, Nightbreed is a catch-all for all kinds of creatures and monsters. I say monsters, but I think creatures is a better term for it. One of the characters refers to them, they're the remnants of the tribe that your kind, meaning human beings, have wiped out. Some of them look very human, some of them do not. The creature effects in this are, some of them are a little ridiculous, probably due to the fact that the practical effects at the time still looked a bit rubber masky. But the stuff that comes out of Clive Barker's mind, ooh, Lord. So Aaron dies after going to Midian and confronting some of the Nightbreed. One of them bites him. He ends up getting hit by a car and shot by the police because Decker's trying to get him. I'm still not completely sure of Decker's motives other than continuing to kill people and destroy Midian. So he is resurrected and ends up back in Midian. He is accepted into the Nightbreed, and the whole time Laurie's looking for him, like, what the hell, what's going on? She finds him, and Decker's been following her. He finds Midian. There's a lot of back and forth with this local sheriff's department, and Decker trying to convince them that he's the serial killer. And now these cops are those kind of good old boys that have an arsenal and are just looking to get into trouble. So we build up to basically an all-out war with the Nightbreed in the Midian cemetery and the cops, Decker, and then there's a priest wandering around who eventually ends up switching and aligning with the Nightbreed and becoming one of them. There is a lot going on in this movie, but it is so amazing. We have a great Danny Elfman score again. Clive Barker is an amazing director. He makes you think. You know, what we consider monsters, they're not monsters. They're just as compassionate and loving. I mean, they have children. They just want to be left alone. They want to be in a safe place. Then you have asshats like Decker, pardon my language, who want to destroy all that because they're different. But he's worse. He's a serial killer. I mean, come on. I highly recommend this movie if you like genre pieces that are going to get you thinking. If you like great creature effects. There's a scene where Laurie is in the underground of Midian where all the Nightbreed live, and she's looking for Boone. And Boone is deep in the bowels talking to their god, their prophet Baphomet. Anyway, and she just comes upon, like, this feels like the cantina scenes in Star Wars where you get to see all the different aliens. Well, in this case, she's wandering the underground tunnels of Midian, and she gets to see all these Nightbreed. I mean, I would probably go through this again and screenshot, because these creatures and people, these humanoids, look amazing. This is a little bit of a gore fest, but not much. But the effects guys, and I'm having trouble finding their names in my notes, were great. They're artistic. It was a feast for my eyes. Like I said, there's at least 3 cuts of this movie. I've seen the director's cut. I felt like that gave me the best story, so I would highly suggest finding that one. But yeah, going back to Clive Barker. Now, if this is polarizing, I apologize, but I really kind of feel like I want to talk about this. Clive Barker is a gay man. And I think some of the turmoil that comes from being a gay man in a certain time, because you got to remember, in the 80s and in the 90s, it still was very taboo, especially for males, to be out and be creatives and all that stuff. I think that bleeds over into his stories with a lot of, the turmoil of the other versus the standard. So you've got the other in this one, which is the Nightbreed, who are hiding and not accepted, versus the standard, which is the stupid humans. Not all humans are stupid, but, in this case, a good chunk of them are stupid, or cruel, or they're evil themselves. The good ones end up either aligned with or becoming Nightbreed themselves, because apparently you can become a Nightbreed, usually by a bite, from what I understand, or you're born that way. There's a really good example of this with Lori has found the cemetery during the day. Now, here's the thing about a lot of the Nightbreed. They die in sunlight. So they're active at night, not during the day. Lori has found it. There's this cat creature laying in the sun looking like it's just feeling miserable. And in one of the crypts, there's a woman, very exotic looking woman, asking her to grab the creature and bring it to her. And it turns out it's her daughter. In the sun, she becomes a cat. Or she can transform it. She can shapeshift into a cat or something. But in the sun, it takes away some of her powers and she can't change back. It's not explained. This is me just spitballing here. But once Lori gets her back to her mother, and her mother's got a really cool power too, she transforms back into a little girl. So, just goes to show you that, there's families here. There's children. Her mom can turn into smoke. One of them is a porcupine woman who just looks amazing. One of the guys looks like okay, does everybody remember Mac Tonight from the 80s from the McDonald's commercials, the guy with the moon head? Well, this guy's got a chin and a forehead that really gives him that look. There's a wise man with red eyes and slashes on his face. A couple of them look very demonic, devilish. Like different versions of devils or demons from different mythology. It is a feast for the eyes. The Danny Elfman score really heightens the mood when it needs to. I definitely recommend this one. If you want more atmospheric horror, if you want something that's a bit more mystical, that's going to make you fucking think. If you're a big Clive Barker fan, I know I keep saying these things over and over, but I cannot iterate it enough. This is a visual fucking masterpiece and a great story. If you get the director's cut. Apparently the studio didn't really get it. And got in there and messed with some things, and it was a commercial and critical failure, but then it released on video and hit with the right people, and then Cabal Cut came out, and then Director's Cut came out. So let this be a lesson for you, studios. The more you interfere, I think sometimes the more it's going to backfire on you. Sometimes you just gotta let these genre things be. And it doesn't have to be horror or sci-fi genre. It could be, someone wanting to do a fucking musical. Let it be. Don't, if you're afraid to mess with the story, or if you're afraid to release the story as is and you feel like you're constantly in there messing around, maybe that wasn't the project for you to back in the first place. So yes, Nightbreed from 1990, find the director's cut. It's I'm not going to say it's a great introduction to Clive Barker. I feel like if you're going to jump into Clive Barker, get the first Hellraiser, I think that pretty much gives you, that one's a bit more standard horror. And eventually we will go over Hellraiser. It is definitely, but that's a big series with many directors. So I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle series just yet. I may do them one by one. I may do them as an overview. I'm not sure. Like when it's like Waxwork 1 and 2, I can do 1 or 2 videos. That's not a big deal. But you know, when you go into the heavy hitters like Jason and Freddy and Michael and, you know, Pinhead, when you get into those where there's more than 3 or 4 movies, especially if they're all, you know, really well written and really iconic, that's going to be a bit more on my plate than I know what to do with right now. I mean, hell, I'm still trying to figure out how the original versus remakes are eventually going to end up. So, yeah. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but you've been with me for a while. You know I'm really bad at tangents. So this is one of my like favorite all-time like weird movies, cult classic movies, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, get a hold of it if you can. So I think that's it for this one. I could have delved into it much, much deeper, but again, we'd have been here for at least an hour, and I'm trying to keep these digestible. I know some of my longer ones do better, though. If you want to follow up to this, maybe, if I can find some of the other cuts, maybe I can contrast and compare, or if you've got questions, you know where the comments are, guys. I try to answer everything. I at least look at everything. I'm sure if you're a long-time watcher, I say long time like I've been here forever. I haven't even hit a year yet. But I'm sure if you've been watching some of the other ones and looking in the comments section, I have a few friends who definitely do not shy away from kind of calling me out or putting out questions. And I encourage that. I really do. Sorry, itchy nose. But on that note, Nightbreed, 1990, written and directed by Clive Barker, based on a short story called Cabal by Clive Barker. Score by Danny Elfman. Amazing film. Definitely give it a watch. And I think on that note, I'm going to say a good night, my creeplings. And I'll see you next time. Bye.